Welcome back, adventurers, to another episode of A Hero's Guide to Asgartha. I'm Nick.
And I'm Chili.
And in today's episode, we are doing something a little different. This is going to be a little different. Obviously, you're not going to see me on the screen. I am going to be a ghost for this episode. Chili is going to have some amazing guests on. We are going to introduce them very soon. You probably already see them on screen. It's not a big deal. But the point is that today we are doing our mid-season patch predictions based on some data that we were able to aggregate. This is going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to be mostly in the background as a ghost. I'm going to be helping facilitate most of this. Chili and the rest of our guests are going to be doing most of the questions, most of the stuff. I will be fielding most of those questions, so if you have questions, please feel free to absolutely come on, type them in the chat, and we might even take a call or two. So you'll just have to be in the chat. We'll see what happens. This is going to be fun. This is our first time trying this, so please be a little patient with us. But without further ado, Chili, take it away.
All right. We are making it into the next generation of digital media. Let's see what we got here. I do have a couple of guests here on with me. Let's start with the Bravos Hatter. Let's introduce yourself and what you're looking to bring into today's discussion.
Well, of course, I want to get my father's nerfed, but I'm Marc, the Bravos Hatter. I'm a Dutch player who recently joined the qualification tourney in the Netherlands as well. I've seen some of the meta over there, and, well, it wasn't... I think it was not what we all expected, right?
A lot of Siggy, a lot of Izmir, I'm assuming, Siggy and Afanis.
And Kojo.
And
Kojo.
Nice. And who else do we have on the line with us? Kyle.
Yeah, hey. I'm back. I came back to bother you all again. I'm Kyle.
It's never a bother.
Oh well, I'm glad to join. I am, I do a lot of the recaps for the Altered blog and try to pay attention to things going on there and try to see what's happening through 39 cards and everything. So I'm really excited to talk about what's going on today and see where our discussion goes.
Awesome. Well, I've got Kyle and Marc here with me because we're doing a very special episode focused on our predictions on the upcoming. How would we call it? I'm used to calling it bans and restrictions, but we're calling it here the mid-season patch predictions.
Yeah.
Based on what we've seen from our various competitive local areas. Marc will be bringing in elements of what he's seen in the qualifiers. Myself from a perspective of what I'm hearing and seeing as I commentate on the streams, and then Kyle from what he's hearing and sensing as he researches, and I'll use this very well, investigative researching that he does in the articles that he and his team over at AlteredTCG.blog are putting together. But we're looking at that. But before we start on our predictions, and we're going to separate this into various parts. First of all, Section 1 is what should happen to current suspended cards. Section 2 is what new cards should be suspended or errated, and any other proposed rule changes we feel that Equinox should take our word and make it better for us. So this is all in fun, in jest, in joking. And then the third section is what do we think needs to happen in terms of amendments to the watch list. But before we get to that, we're lucky enough to have Kyle talk to us a little bit about what he's seen in terms of the meta development since the release of Whispers from the Maze.
Oh, great. Yeah. I have been very fortunate in that I've been able to collect some information through the team over 39 cards. Thank you for their help. And it's just basically been some data that's been collected over time what I've been doing with the snapshots from month to month for the blog. I'm continuing into this, breaking into this season specifically. Mm-hmm. And so I don't know if you all remember from the last snapshot from May, I'm going to talk a little bit about what we've seen since then. And it really looked like things were going to really turn a corner and we'd see a really a much more diverse meta as far as things go, as for competitive play online. Remember that what they're collecting mostly is online competitive play, although there are a few in-person events there as well. And one of the things I really expected, and even as I was writing up the May snapshot, I really thought like, oh, Tasia is really showing up, really taking up, everyone's playing her. Great, we're gonna see. It's Muna's time. It's gonna be their time to shine. And that has turned out to not be the case.
Well, the hunger is because of my whole thing is it's because of the hunger.
I mean,
That's
likely.
Not only that,
Yeah, I don't
Lights'
disagree.
withdrawal.
Oh yeah, that too.
Lights' withdrawal and Ishmir is a real problem for Tasia.
Mhm,
Normally,
mhm.
Avanos and Tasia were like, okay, 50-50, I think, maybe a little bit more
Yeah,
preference on Tasia, but with Lights' withdrawal, you can remove the Bastion for only 2 mana. It's
right.
absurd. And then all the characters are, well, done for.
Just gone. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
can you take us through what we're seeing on the screen? So
Yeah,
these are the top heroes.
So here's what we're looking at. This is actually these are the standings as far as first place rankings for since the drop of Whispers from the Maze, which is to say, this collects information from essentially the first events happening right after pre-release up to now. We've had roughly 30 odd events at that time. I think it's like 32, 33 since that point. And you can see right here, these are the number of times that each hero has seen first place. It's not hard to see. And in fact, I can point, there was one additional event that happened since this. Afanis grabbed one more first place win. So he's got one more than is listed here. But it's not hard to see who is continuing to take the lead as far as who's winning more than anyone else in competitive situations. Now,
So
whether
I'm waiting for the hate to come from us Sigismund players.
Oh,
I'm just feeling it already.
Marc already knows I have a lot of vitriol toward Ortis just generally, but every time I look at a chart like this, and it'll be compounded by one of the charts we'll show in just a minute, but it's so amazing to me to see, even though last month it really looked like people were, Sigismund got a tiny, you got a slap on the wrist as far as, like getting rid of Baba Yaga. Like, oh no, you don't get additional card draw. It turns out he doesn't really, still has plenty, it looks like, because he's pulling just fine as far as first place wins go. In fact, looking at this, Afanis grabbed one more win, which puts him at 6 versus Sig's 8 to where we are right there. But Sig has more than double. Both Kojo and Fen together can't catch Sigismund for this month.
As it should be.
And if you take all 5 fourth place heroes, they still don't. They still just catch him. Like it's just
that's crazy.
It's wild. Now, what I want to point out, one thing, one caveat to all of this, and I know I'm going to get hate for this, but this spread of first place victories is more diverse than what we've had in the past, and that's a positive, and that is really nice. It's good to see two heroes from most factions represented here. I guess not counting Axiom because poor Axiom.
Yeah, because
it's Axiom.
I'll say this. I am so surprised that Waru has had a result here.
So,
and it's only because it was piloted by one ridiculous player from AQZ.
Yes,
it is absolutely insane. The uniques that they've got is crazy.
One of the things, I would want to mention along that line specifically, a couple of those one-off wins. It's great to be like, hey, Waru got there. Oh, great, we must be doing a good job. Things must be balancing out. But I don't think that's. I think we're looking at a couple of the outliers of people who show up with really great uniques, or people who are just really skilled at a particular hero. You just want to keep an eye on, like, is Waru actually showing up, or is it just one really good player?
He is not showing up.
No. Overall, percentage-wise, we'll talk about distribution, but Waru's not showing up. You're correct.
No, he's not showing up.
Yes, I'm ready when you are. So this would be. That's from last month's distribution.
Okay, and this is where all the Muna players are saying we have some chance. It is our time to shine.
This was immediately after the season patch. For 2 weeks, everyone had a chance to just say, what are we going to try? Something new. Sig just lost one of his best draw cards. Who's gonna take his spot? And everyone thought it was going to be Taya here. And they really put in some time to try to like take over that spot. Kojo also catching up there, which even in previous months, I mean, for the most part, over the last few months, the distribution has mostly looked Sigismar, Afanas, and then everyone else. That's usually how it's been played out. So that was a big surprise for me finishing up May. That we actually had that. But one thing I'd like to point out, that those last like 4 or 5 heroes there, with the exception of Trace, who's moved up a few spots, really haven't moved.
That's surprising, because I would have thought Aurak, with the now having enough cards to actually play their game style, would have been more represented. But it looks like, from a winning perspective, it does not win the tournament.
This is just distribution. This is just number of deck lists. This one here is just deck lists. So the number of people who played that hero within a competitive event during the month of May. This is from May, not June. Can you find the June one? Do you have that there? Okay. Well, yeah. Give me a moment. I can grab the June image here if that is helpful for you. It is in the message. Yeah, it's in the message that I was sharing just the other day. Give me a moment. I can find it for you.
So as we're going through, and it's funny, it sounds like Carl's talking to a ghost, but he really is talking to Nick, who you cannot hear in the background. So,
yeah. Sorry.
Now, while we're getting that part prepped up, Marc, you're a Bravos player. You've got that in your name. How does this make you feel, where you thought you also have a chance and it looks like things are still a little bit tough? Or do you think it's more people just don't get the cards yet?
Well, I'm really enjoying the hunger so far. It's the answer we needed against Asia, because Kojo wasn't doing anything. I think Vasir was okay doing against Muna in general. And Atsari got some love, some needed love, but it's still... sometimes if you draw your big stuff and you don't draw your acceleration, like the mana ramping and stuff, it's still rough. It's still rough barely getting in there, not to lose, getting your engine up. So I'm okay with Raffles, with Kojo doing right now. I think Basira is still a strong pick as well. If it was not for Afanos being here in the league. Yeah. So I'm glad. I'm glad Bravos is doing some getting some power, and specifically for Kojo, the mess. That's the card that is really good. And the other card I really like is Duel of Grit. That card is in the rare version so insane, getting all the stuff that you don't want removed. Even against the Afanos, those Mage Dancers, Duel of Grit, bomb, discard it, don't ever see you again.
Yeah, full discard.
Really
full discard is fantastic.
Really good.
Yeah. So yes, this would be this is the May 29th. Okay, here we go. Sorry, just to bring us back, this is what we were what I was talking about before. This is our distribution season to date for Whispers from the Maze. This is not heroes who won, but who's playing which hero. You will see here, as a Bravos player myself, real excited to see Kojo. Everyone thinks that Kojo is going to be the winner here. This is everyone thinks that it's his time here. So even right on his heels there, you've got Sig and Afanas both, but you still also have Taya and Fen. People still think those top 5 really are the ones that are kicking around as far as, all right, this is who we think can win for each of, not even just each of those factions, because obviously all the heroes are represented here, but you have each of those, just these are the heroes that people seem to be thinking that competitive players believe really have a shot, are really leaning into it.
So just to confirm something, Kyle, then.
Yeah.
The list that you're looking here are only for the decks played in competitive tournaments. That 39 cards.
That's correct.
Has information on. So all the games that you'd like, this really is where someone has an appetite to play a game where they think or they want to win.
Yeah.
Normally, you go into competition, you want to actually see how well your deck has performed. It's nothing to do with the casual gameplay. It is
Correct.
purely the competitive scene. For me, looking at this, I actually think this is really healthy. Kojo, I think because they got so many new cards, you're seeing that in play. I'm surprised that there's not more of a balance, though, between Kojo and Basira, and then potentially, who's the other hero?
That's Achadi, yeah.
Achadi.
Yeah.
So, because I think the gameplay was more suited to Achadi, but we're seeing Kojo take advantage of this.
Yeah.
The same thing is when you hear from Equinox and you talk to them, they make cards specifically for a hero, for Gulrang, for example, and then Sigismar basically takes advantage of it and makes it better. So we're seeing that same element here. The same thing I'd say with the Farnus, though I think with the Izmir heroes, they have a very different spread. This is good, though. It's good in terms of people wanting to play a hero in each faction. I feel sorry for Sierra. I feel sorry for Traced. I don't know why they created Subash. It has never been competitive. I am hoping that one day it will become, because it is a fun mechanic.
I heard,
but they are falling behind.
Yeah, I in terms of, I really had always heard, looking into, Whispers from the Maze as it was coming up, everyone was saying that Subash is going to have a chance to come forward here. There are some cards that really match with their style, and it just hasn't materialized. Similarly, Arjun, who one of my favorite heroes, he's in my regular rotation. He just cannot, or they just cannot get a card in. Like nothing fits that either Taya or Rin could use better. Which to me, when I hear Equinox and others say like, oh wow, that's a real problem when some heroes can't get the cards to, if we make a card just for that hero and the other heroes just use them better. I mean, just saying it, that to me sounds like you really need to rebalance that hero then.
You potentially now.
Yes.
I'll give some free advertising for Freeloader here. For those that haven't had a look at his latest deck design, he's built what he calls an off-meta Subash deck. To have a look at that, Mark. I know you're building a whole bunch of decks. I haven't seen anything from Subash recently. Not sure if that's one of your plans at the moment as well. But I actually love it when people make these other decks.
Yeah, my best mate is playing Subhash, only Subhash. So from day one, he chose Subhash as his hero and was like, I'm going to play it. So I've been tinkering with him a lot as well. I think he is a little bit what Arjun has with Tasia. I think Trace is in every situation better than Subhash in the stuff, and he's trying to be a little bit more aggressive, and then you're playing against Sigismar or Kojo's and you get teamwork training, you're like, well, I'm out of this. And
so
just have
maybe as we go through our
removal.
predictions,
Subash.
No removal. Mark, maybe through our predictions, maybe something that we talk about Subash having a different ability, increasing his ability to make it so he doesn't have what I would normally call an intrinsic card disadvantage.
Yeah.
But
I find it hard. Subhash needs more card advantage. That's something I feel, and some removal, because sometimes you do get hooked and you draw a card and get something to the other side. But then again, if you want to get that 2-0, then hook doesn't do anything. Boom doesn't do anything. Blow something up from yourself to destroy something else isn't. Well, most of the time not worth it to get that 2-0 in. And Subhash, if you don't go out of the gate with a 2-0, 2-1 victory, except for one very good freeloader, of course, in the tournament, it's very rough to get it, get over the finish there. So I hope seeing some interaction for the faction.
I completely agree with you.
There's this feeling of like, how would I put it? Sadness. It's like, I agree. I'm in despair.
Well,
where are we going?
It's disappointment. It's disappointment in being able. You want to be able to say, I want to play this hero because I really think they're interesting and they're cool. And when they just can't stand up to how other heroes play, or there's a very clear demarcation about which heroes are just, all right, I'm just better suited for this. Sorry, like that's disappointing when you can't play the hero that you connect with in that way.
True.
just
True,
to make
very true.
just to make one more mention about this distribution, I completely agree with you that this is much more healthy than what we were seeing before, and even to the effect that to point back to the winnings, who was in first place the most often from a moment ago. Yeah, Sigismar is just running away with it still. Afanis right behind him, no question. They're still in the lead. As much as that really annoys me, it is encouraging to see that people are still trying different things, and it's not just these two decks at this point. Yeah, we're seeing some people trying some different things, and I appreciate that, even if it's not bearing out just yet.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see when does it become burnout, where you've
Yeah,
tried
we'll
enough and you're like,
see.
this just is no good. And I hope, and this is part of the reason we're doing this podcast, is to talk about what could make some of these other heroes more viable or more enjoyable to play, so that you feel that there's a chance. Ultimately, that's what you want, is you want as close to a 40-60, 50-50 split,
Yep,
where
I
you
agree.
have a chance to win any matchup.
Yeah.
Which doesn't feel the case in many cases. I know we've got a couple more slides. We're going to talk about some of the cards that are in the meta right now.
Yeah, let's move on to those really briefly here, and we don't need to spend a ton of time on these, but I just want to talk about, and I've been bringing these up throughout the seasons past as well, in those snapshots. Seasons past, I say that as though it's been a long. I've been working on this forever, but you know what I mean. Yeah, this is the so this is from May again. This is last month's set of the snapshot. But if we're talking about what's happening in this month, going back and forth between these, I can point out it's really interesting. Okay, so just very briefly, those commons that we have listed there: Frozen Delivery, Foundry Mechanic, Amelia Earhart. Those have been the bread and butter commons for Axiom since the start of TBF from the drop. They have not moved basically the whole time. It's been in those spaces throughout. And then this month, we've seen the Grems pop up to first place immediately, which no question why they provide a possible extra brass bug and the ability to take out a permanent if they really need to. And then Frozen Delivery and Foundry Mechanic take the next spot after that. And then going over to the rares, Brassbug Hive is the evidence that Sierra is still doing something here. And this month, I think this is funny, but also shows just how desperate a place Axiom is in. The top rare for this month for Axiom is Hooked, a BTG card that is not even about putting stats on the board. It's just about I have to squeak by here, please. Like give me some space, and also buy me a card in the meantime because everyone else has so much card advantage. I need something. And then beyond that, Brassbug Hive, even though it is completely bonkers that card still does not have tough. And then finally, Bug Out Bag in rare again speaks to Sierra showing up and doing stuff.
Rare, so the 3 cost over the 2 cost,
because that buys.
You can get double brass bug.
That's right.
Yeah.
So
the Ouroboros Leader Bastion is the first card I think is gonna be banned or reworked, because that card is so good in unfair decks where you just cycle through your deck multiple times. It's crazy. That card needs to go.
I'm excited to hear your takes on this.
Longer.
I don't disagree with you, Mark, but I agree that it is a strong card. However, so many Axiom decks at this particular point hinge on being able to find like 2 or 3 cards in your entire deck, and you have to have those cards, or else you just don't. It just doesn't fire. So until until Axiom has more capability, I mean, I don't see another answer other than the Ouroboros to get to those cards as quick as you can.
And that's exactly the problem. The Ouroboros is like, well, I play. How's the guy called? The 6 cost that's just
the Hive.
Triggers a permanent.
The Hive. Brassbug Hive.
No. The character. That big Gibble. Common Gibble only for the support ability. You never play it.
That's very true.
And those cards get included just because the Lyra Bastion is an action. I don't think that's healthy for the game in the long run. So I think they need more support to be actually be able to get a feeling that the faction can win something.
Yeah.
To get this card removed. Otherwise, this card.
I
think
couldn't.
it's broken card.
I couldn't agree more. I think I get the feeling, and I know we've talked about this before in general groups, but it really does feel on some level that Axiom is still paying, still paying the price for being very strong in an earlier version of the game that we never really saw, and it really got just pushed into the ground for the first couple sets. So that's where we're at.
But
So go on.
If you got Massive, I see why. If you got Massive that right now, 5 mana, great, and you spawn 2 bugs, Brushbug Hive, you're spawning some bugs, and everything gets a boost. I see why it could be so strong, right? But it isn't right now. That's the problem.
No. Yeah.
It isn't, but I also think it is not easy.
I was about to say, if
license withdrawal.
If Axiom could protect its permanence even a little bit, I think that Axiom would be a much stronger faction altogether.
Nice. Well, let's have a look at the other.
Let's keep moving. Sorry,
this is okay. Bravos, and let's talk a little bit about both your favorite factions.
Yeah, actually, and no one will be surprised here. From last month, Haven Serengar, Fire Rabbit, and Haven Bouncer are the top commons. Hey, guess what? They still are. In this month, even with Whispers from the Maze, all of those new fun tools that we had to work with, it doesn't matter. Bravos has one thing that it can do well, and it really needs draw and it really needs boost, and those 2 cards do it. That's it. That's what it comes down to. And Bouncer is one of our only really effective and efficient mana cost for interaction. Now, aside from Duel of Grit at this point. But Bouncer has really been the option for Bravos generally.
Is that because of its cost?
Yeah, that's cost and then boost coming off of reserve. That's it.
Boost from reserve, so double benefit.
Yeah. The mess in common doesn't show up in top cards for this month until 6th place. However,
but it's moving up.
Yeah, that's a great start. For it. I'm really surprised that it's even that low. Tolarian Skater takes 5th place.
I know why, because the Syringa, Ramp, and Bounce are normally used in all the heroes, and the mess is more like a go-to card that sometimes is in Basila if
that's a good point.
Landmarks for uniques. But Atsari isn't running
Kojo.
the mess, so it never gets that high because those 3 cards are universal in every deck.
I completely agree with that. Yeah. Moving on to the rares very briefly. Last month, Tiny Jin, Haven, and Mighty Jin, Bravo staples, right? We can't go anywhere without them. This month, Tiny Jin is still the top played rare by almost twice the next card. I just want to point that out.
Wow.
And then Mighty Jin comes second, and after that, Duel of Grit, what we were just talking about.
Okay. Where did the Grems show up? Because I also think that's really useful in both factions.
Oh gosh,
maybe it's not so much.
You know what?
Maybe not so much.
For Bravos, the Grems show up past the top 10. Is all I'm not counting it out, but it's past the top 10.
Okay.
It's because it's a rare slot you don't have.
Say again?
Yeah, you don't have something to throw away.
No.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure how I could fit it in, and I think a lot of people do have the same problem.
But Duel of Grit is up there, though. That's fantastic. I think it's a brilliant card. Underrated when it first came out, from my perspective. It is universally can be used across all heroes.
Yeah,
I would say especially a Chadi. But because the meta is so low, every hero can use it.
Yeah, even Kojo, even if he's playing close to the ground, can do some damage with it, and it might make the difference for him, right?
Yeah,
I completely agree. It's one of Bravos' strongest cards at this point. I would say flat out. So yeah, there you go. That's Bravos.
Yeah. So and the good thing is, so over the next few days, you're going to see, at least from A Hero's Guide to Asgartha, we're going to have the Bravos review coming out, and you'll see where when myself and Nick initially placed our top cards. Now that we're seeing play, we know we've made some mistakes in terms of assumptions that we made. But it's actually the best part about it is seeing ourselves correct ourselves, saying this is actually way better than we thought.
Sure. Yeah, even going back to some of our for the blog, like some of our earlier predictions for things, it is fun to say like, oh, we were. I mean, I can speak for myself. I can't speak for Mark. I was like, oh, I was way off. Like, oh, I really thought that was going to go differently than it did, or play differently than it did. So yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, it's always great to be wrong though, because then you're surprised.
Yeah, true.
That's the way I look at it. Is you're surprised by what happens, and if we're surprised, imagine how the people at Equinox, who are the designers, come out saying the part that I love, and we want to get some of the designers on one point in time to saying, you guys aren't getting this card yet. This is how you should use it.
Yeah.
This is how to win with it. But eventually we will. It just takes some time for some wizard within the community to just get it and build the deck, and then everyone replicates and copies.
Exactly. Well, I mean, that is the truth. Speaking of, let's move on to Lyra because we do have some wizards in there.
There we go.
I guess not too many here specifically. However, last month Hathor, and Anansi, and Martingale were the top commons. This month, Hathor again, Twinkle Twinkle, and Anansi. And I want to point out, Twinkle Twinkle has bumped, has kind of hopped in and out of that range in the past couple months. It's extremely it's just a couple card slots behind Hathor this time. I read that as they really are doing interaction has become key in Whispers from the Maze. Interaction and removal have become the main way of handling play back and forth. And Twinkle Twinkle also gives you that cost reduction that allows very enterprising Lyra players to play cards for free. So that's how that feels to me. And then go on. Yeah,
it can be. I was going to say, Twinkle Twinkle can also be used both as a defensive card as an offensive card.
Absolutely.
There has a very different kind of gameplay than most others when you have the ability of putting something to sleep.
Yeah. And then going back to, and this is going to be one of my things that I come back to over and over and over again for the rest of our episode here. I just want to point this out. The rares for Lyra last month: Inkcaster, Magical Training, Aloe Vera. Magical Training took the top spot this time. Card advantage is the most important thing. That's just what this game comes down to. Card advantage plus mana efficiency are the two things that make you a powerful faction. And Lyra having access to Magical Training, it's no question why they are running it at 3 cards in every deck, basically. It's not even close that the next thing, Inkcaster behind them. Yeah.
I'm talking directly to Equinox here. Give it fleeting, for goodness sakes. Give it fleeting.
Why doesn't it have fleeting? Well, and it's a great point, because cards like this in other games are not one mana cost. Drawing a card is not a 1 cost action in most other TCGs. It's really surprising that this one is still.
But I don't see that as a problem. The problem is like cards like Hathor and Inkcaster that can bounce it back.
Yes.
And then you play it again for 1 mana. That's the real problem, because Hathor is like, you play you play a training, you discard Hathor from reserve, get it back, and play it immediately again, because Hathor's reserve ability is cost free. So that's the real problem. I don't think Magical Training on its own is a bad card design, but with all the options you have available, I think it can be played forever.
It's got to get fleeting at some point, is where I agree with Chili on this one. And it would solve the problem that you were mentioning there exactly, is just cards that just draw another card need to be challenging to play more than once. That's what it need. That's really what it comes down to.
Yeah. And interesting here, though, like Aloe Vera, I think, is a staple both in here and in Muna.
Yeah.
Just because, once again, it is card advantage, but it's through reserve. So.
Yeah. But and that can also get you additional support abilities, which is what Lyra really shines at too. So Aloe Vera it's getting you card advantage, but it's just giving you, hey, I can do a free action this next turn. Great, and they can't stop me. It costs me no mana, Just to mention the rest of the top 3 for Lyra, Magical Training, or Ouroboros, Inkcaster, and Aloe Vera. You don't see a new card in the top 3 for either commons or rares for Lyra.
So what is the first one in the common and the rare from the new set?
Let's see.
Where does it currently sit? My mind goes to Daedalus as being one of those.
It is one of those, but it is not. It's not in the first one in common is Lyric Contortionist in 7th place.
Okay.
In commons.
Purely doing, and I'd say that's purely to make Anansi better.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, it is though. Yeah. And it's never a bad thing if you resupply into it. Like, oh, great, I got an extra card to play with. Hooray! You know. And then for rares, your first, actually there is a newer one in 4th place is the Tech Lab unit, which again, Anansi makes it more terrifying. You know. Or it makes more terrifying, so that absolutely tracks. But those are the first new cards you see. None of them have cracked the top 3 yet.
Although 4 is not too bad.
No, not at all.
In the first month.
Yeah, I agree with that.
What
and
about
then
Muna?
Yeah, let's move on to Muna. Last month, the commons. It's no surprise. Caregiver, Druid, Intent. Muna needs to protect its characters that are out on the board. Guess what? They still need to do that. Floral Tent actually moved up to 1st place this month, which I wonder why from all of the removal that got added to the game in the last few weeks. Floral Tent, Muna Druid, and Caregiver are the top 3 among the commons. Again, just got to protect those characters, and we have to keep them anchored. That's it. That's what it comes down to.
And Floral Tent is the only card that can stop something from being taken away through the hunger.
That's, I mean, really all. I mean, it's one of.
It's the only card.
It's one of Muna's best options for anything, right? At this point, like,
absolutely,
you can't. I don't think you can really build a serious Muna deck at the moment that doesn't include Floral Tent on some level.
It's basically an after you.
Yeah.
It's a resupply.
Yes.
And it's protection.
And protection.
It's everything you want.
Everything you want.
Yeah. Which is what Muna has needed for a while. Yeah.
That's right. We'll keep the hippies happy with that. Sure.
Well, okay. And then moving on to the rares. Last month, Aloe Vera, Ogan, and Spindle Harvesters. It is very close to the same. Aloe Vera takes the lead by a long shot, followed by Spindle Harvesters, again, just for that auto anchor. And then the Spindle itself has moved again back into 3rd place, which it has done off and on in the past as well. Again, Muna saying we really just need whatever we can to try to protect our characters in play, like whatever we can do.
And in terms of new cards coming out from the set,
has
anything cracked top 10?
Let's see. In commons, Requiem made it to 6th place. That's the first one of the new set in commons, which no surprise there. Muna has really struggled for removal for a long time, even if it is much heavier, more heavily gated removal compared to anything else from other factions. But at least they have some. And then let's see. Right. In 6th among the rares is Sap Duende, which, of course, that's a fun one. At least they can steal some of the boosts from other players.
So from themselves, if they're to basically take it from an old Yankid to a new Yankid.
Yeah, very true.
Now, I also, how about Little Mouse? I'm always interested in Little Mouse because I think the rare gives you the opportunity for double sabotage, which very few cards have without a condition.
So in common, I have bad news for you.
Okay. Not even there.
Well, it does show up on both commons and rares, but less than 10. Less than 10 total cards across all deck lists in the past month.
Come on, Muna guys.
Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. It's just
it goes contrary to the gameplay of anchoring. Like it's an offensive card rather than a defensive card. So
maybe it's just not providing the value that it needs to at that cost. Is what it maybe that's what it is.
And it isn't a plant.
Yeah, that's true.
If it was a plant, it would be plant for sure.
Actually, that's a good insight. Yeah.
Now to the faction of winners. Tell us a little bit about this.
Just gonna just stretch for a moment here so I can get through this without breaking into a rage.
Without throwing up. I apologize for I don't mean to come across condescending. Hopefully it doesn't come across. I just, it's nice to see when this goes well, because my football teams do awful. So, it's the only faction, only part of my life that does well. So
I am glad to support you in your choices, and that I'm happy to be a part of that. Okay, so our commons from last month, Teamwork Training. Obviously, it's in there. It's one of the strongest cards in the game. Monolith Legate, and the Frog Prince. The Frog Prince is a real interesting one because it took the place of Baba Yaga, and it was nowhere on the field before that point. Baba Yaga was suspended, and Frog Prince like leapt up like, oh, I guess I'm here now. People need stats, I guess.
Yeah.
We need
It's cheap.
forests. If you don't have forest in Ordis, you're screwed. So that's why the Frog Prince is here.
It was just very funny to me that I guess I'm here now. Yeah, like great, cool. Then so commons for this month. Hey, I guess you can't. Does anyone want to take a guess as to what the most common common for Ordis is? What's that?
License withdrawal.
100%.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yes, it has passed up even teamwork training. The game has been out. It's been in play for 1 month, and it's more popular than the other most powerful removal card in the game.
Sheesh. Yeah, it's fantastic. It really is
incredible. Anyway, so it goes license withdrawal, teamwork training, and monolith legate now. So
there you go.
Ordis's top 3 commons are all about getting rid of your cards at this point. All of them.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
They don't have to worry about characters because they have them.
Yeah, it's because we don't have to do a thing and we get a character when you're playing.
That's right. So you can focus your cards instead on just getting rid of what other players have, which is a great experience for all other players. I have to let you know, it's a lot of fun when your focus is just to remove what's on the table.
Yeah. I'll also say it's a great counter to Afanis.
Oh yeah,
it focuses on 1 or 2 characters.
I agree with that,
and that's why it's so popular, right? Because Afanis is a menace. It's winning from everyone except from Sigismar.
I agree.
And that's why every tournament is like Sigismar, because Afanis is destroying everything, and then you're hopefully clinging on with Sigismar long enough to face those Afanises, and then you're rising to the top. That's how it goes right now.
Yeah.
So the real
so tell us about the rares.
We from last month we have Ordis Attorney, Ordis Trooper, and Founder and Mechanic. No surprise that we have 2 1-drops in there, and then the other one gets Sigismar a card. So hey, no surprise that those are the most popular ones. The Ordis Attorney moves up or stays in first place this month. Again, still the most popular rare among Ordis. Trooper still takes second place because that 1-drop, you got to have them if you're going to after you everyone else turn after turn. And then Jack Frost took third place this time because fewer people are playing Grand Endeavor, I suppose, and Jack Frost gets rid of the opponent's or exhausts the opponent's reserves. So you, not only can they not keep cards on the field, they actually also can't get to their reserves.
Very well designed faction, I must say. Very well designed.
Flawless, I would say, actually.
All right. What about Izmir? Sorry. On the rare, what's the?
Let me look here.
Whispers from the Maze.
About 10th place, Masecta turns up, and that's the first new one that's been in play.
It's interesting. I think that is a very strong card.
Oh, I agree.
As Gulrang grows, I think there's more chance of that going up the chain quickly.
It's an incredibly powerful card. Yeah, I'm surprised. Well, I mean, the only reason that I don't think Sig runs it is Sig doesn't need it. But that's it.
Marc, actually, you were at the Dutch Open or the Dutch qualifier.
Yeah.
And there was equal representation there between Sigismar and Gulrang, 10 each. And that is surprising.
Yeah.
Now, they didn't convert. No. They didn't convert, but go ahead, Marc. What were you going to say?
Are not playing all of the meta decks. We play mostly what we like, and
that's good.
We like Gulrang a lot. That is.
Yeah.
Gulrang's really cool.
Gulrang's a great design.
I agree.
And there's more and more cards that are helping it. I actually think Gulrang by the end of the season is going to be up there among those teams. But then once again, I'm sorry, Kyle, but it means that there's going to be 2 Ordis characters potentially up the top. Oh yeah, and the other thing that's quite funny is, like, just so you're aware, this is a strong reminder that Nick is finally making Gulrang great again.
Incredible.
Right, he is all about Gulrang, and he's doing really well with his Gulrang deck. Nick's only listening in right now, so I can say whatever I want. Nick loves tinkering with decks. The hard part for Nick is he puts his heart and soul into building a deck, and in most cases, it doesn't succeed.
You got to let it go.
And it's so hard to see that. But this is one that he's been passionate about, and to see him get results just, makes me happy to see him get those results. But then he disqualifies his wins, but saying, "But I didn't play you, or I didn't play some other players that are pretty strong in our pod." I'm like, a win's a win, mate.
Agreed.
Just get that.
Yeah.
So I see him smiling in the background there, but a win is a win. So there you go.
All right, let's hit Izmir real quick. I don't know why we're checking in, because we know how this is going to go. Off you go takes the top. Tooth Fairy and Studious Disciple obviously are the top 3 commons for Izmir last month. This month it is again the same. Off you go, Tooth Fairy, Studious Disciple. I can't imagine why Afanis would run anything else. They're really just the most useful cards across Izmir, common wise. You don't see a new card until about 10th place. Evanescence shows up.
Evanescence?
Yeah.
And about 15th, Pasiphae is there, and I think that's it.
Yeah, Pasiphae is a good one against the Sigisma spawn.
Yeah. I agree with that. And then going on to the rares, Beauty Sleep jumped up to first place again right after the patch. People are just like, well, I just need a 1 cost. Sure, fine. Mage Dancer and then Baba Yaga just stayed where she was. This month, Magical Draining takes first place, followed by Beauty Sleep and then Baba Yaga. 2 cards that give a boost for 1 mana, and then also another effect, and then also Baba Yaga, which buys you another card. Yeah. No surprise. You don't. Oh, but however, just to go back to our favorite other card, 4th place, 4th in rares, license withdrawal.
License withdrawal.
Of course
That's
it is.
Fantastic.
Because Ortis and Izmir share their most damaging cards. They like to trade them for fun.
Yeah.
In most cases,
that
they
card
do.
is a real mistake.
It really is.
License withdrawal is.
Yeah.
It's not a well-designed card. No.
No. Well, it is well if you use it. But in terms of the balance, it is not very balanced. I would absolutely say that from a toing and froing of a game.
I would agree with that. Anyway, those are the top cards by faction going into this next month, or coming out of this past month. I will go through and we'll have a new snapshot up, and I have to sort through the data and kind of crunch it a little bit more. This is still a little bit more general than where we were at.
Yeah.
But I will have that hopefully by the end of this week. We'll see what happens.
Carl, fantastic. Thank you to you and the guys and the team. Sorry, not just the guys, the team at AlteredTCG.blog by putting this together. Also for Tom and the team actually the team is just him in 39 cards. So for what you're doing to be able to give us the data so we can actually extract that from Board Game Arena. Now we're going to move on to some of our predictions. And I think this is going to be the fun part. Like, I want to just reiterate what I said earlier. These are just some fun predictions, but also some things that are bothering us in one way or another. And I think it's good to get it off our chest. We're going to be each other's therapists for the next few minutes as we go through here. But and we're going to be taking through. We're going to start with each of the cards so that we want to talk about, cards that are currently suspended, and what you would do as Lord Almighty Equinox owner to say, how do you fix this card? So I want to start, first of all, we're going to go through Baba Yaga. And Carl, since you've spoken a fair bit over the last few minutes, I'd like Marc to give us his thoughts on what we should do with Baba Yaga in the Order out of faction rare.
This is very delicate. I've been asking the same thing to some pro Sigismar playing on the Dutch Open. And they say, if you change this to the common version, just like the 2-1-2, it probably won't be played. If you make it like a 2-2, it probably will be played. So that is the balance of only one mountain stat doing to be playable or not playable. Because a 2-mana 2-2 that doesn't, nothing is okay. To get you from hand to draw, but from reserve it's meh. And otherwise it's just a bad legate that doesn't send anything to the discard.
It's funny. It's a bad legate, but it's still a strong card.
Only from hand.
From hand, absolutely, with the draw.
Yeah.
But so what would be your recommendation? So you've heard from your local community. What do you recommend we do?
Yeah, I've been thinking also about Waru and also about Goran. What do they need for this card to be good? And I think is the common version of Izmir the 2/1/2? Would that be one of those two decks? And if the answer is yes, then I would change it to the 2/1/2. And if the answer is no, then I would change it to 2/2. But and that's I'm not sure, because if you're playing Goreng and you have the reinforcements, it's normally also draw a card, create a 2/2 token. So and if you play that in the rare, you can draw 2. So would you play this ever? I guess not. So I'm fine with both of these. So
Okay.
please change it to the common, and then okay.
So
Fine.
change to the common would be your recommendation for right now. What about you, Kyle? What do you think should happen to Baba Yaga outside of burning it?
Well, no, I think that I actually agree with Mark on this one. I think that the way that I would approach this would be to reduce its stat line. And while I agree that that would make it not unplayable, but played less often, I think that's what you need to do. It has to feel more risky to get a free card. Like if you are after that draw, you have to give something up. Every other faction in the game has to, except to Izmir, of course. That's a whole other thing. But every other faction, Muna has to give up anchors. They have to give up additional stats. Like it costs Muna to get extra cards. It costs Axiom to get extra cards. Bravos has to have Serengar go twice. You have to spend 4 mana for that. Baba Yaga gets to go once and has a great stat line, and then also gets to provide stats after that too. I think you reduce its stats, and then if it doesn't, and then it has to feel like I'm actually trying to get this extra card because I need the ability to protect my stat line.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. So I'm actually going the opposite way. I actually think it needs to increase its cost from hand to 4. Because then it's similar to the equivalent of you have to pay 1 more for anything to be anchored. I'm doing the same thing here.
Yeah.
Especially because Baba Yaga is usually played in the first hand, so you're more than likely going to win something here. And now you're playing it more reactive. So if it's a 4/2 for the 3/2/2, yes, it's 3/2/2, but you get 4/2 for 3/2/2 in stats.
Yeah.
But you're getting the benefit of the card. And I think in many cases you may look to it, especially if you're playing it reactively as second player, is you're spending something, but you're not getting the dual benefit in that one turn because you can still play your 1 cost, especially with Ortis having the access to so many 1 cost cards that are overstated. So that's where I would go. Cool. So whether you lose this resource, I would prefer it being more expensive because it forces people to actually increase your cost curve, especially in Sigismar. Are you willing to do this?
Yeah.
Or you're like saying, I'll forego the draw and put something else in. And that's part of the decision we have to make rather than a card being an automatic draw. That's where I'm going. We'll see if any of us is even close to correct when this comes out.
Sure. Yeah.
All right.
I'm sure they're listening very closely.
Oh, you know what they do? They take notes, of course. Why wouldn't you? You know what, Kyle? We've had this discussion before. We know they use your website.
That's true.
As part of their research.
That's true.
So you never know. All right. What about Helping Hand Izmir? So what is your recommendation for Izmir Helping Hand Rare?
I see this card not being unbanned until Alphanas got fixed.
Yeah.
Because Alphanas is the real problem. You can ban Helping Hand, but you can also ban Helping the Magical Training. But you can also maybe ban Joyride because it's also a 1 mana spell. So he has so many options to be played that I don't think that Helping Hand was the real problem. I think Alphanas was the real problem, and this one fixes only the Spindle uniques, the red uniques that get back from the reserve over and over again. So I don't see a solution to fix this card. Maybe give it fleeting, but then it still gives you like 2-3 boosts and something lose fleeting. So Alphanas, please fix Alphanas, and this card. Let's talk about this card after that.
Yeah. We're going to get to fixing Alphanas in a second, I think. But okay, so your whole thing is don't unban it until we do something else with the game. That's your decision for this one. Okay.
Kyle,
do you have a different take?
Yeah, no, I actually couldn't agree with you more on this. I think that again, this is one of those situations where, Helping Hand was never the real problem. I think that it's also a situation where, just like Ortis, you have a faction that has a ton of cards that have one cost, one drops, either that really help its stat line and really, really work with the mechanics of the different heroes, or the main hero for that faction. But then also those factions also trade in a lot of tokens. So now, like Aphanis with those mana moths, like it used to be that if you could knock a character out of Aphanis's hand, then he had nowhere to spend his boosts. But helping hand with a mana moth on the field, I mean, that's a really dangerous card now. I think you need to take care of Aphanis and figure out what to do with that. Or I personally, I'd say kind of Ysmir more generally needs to move its mana costs a little bit higher than they are. But I don't think I think the main way that I would fix this, if all other things remain the same, yeah, give it fleeting, or change it so that it doesn't give a boost and just removes fleeting. That would be another way that I would approach it if we aren't making other changes.
Yeah, so my recommendation, it takes a little bit of what you said. I actually think it should be a 2/2 with fleeting, the card itself. So therefore, I love what you said. How do you increase the cost base for Aphanis? Because Aphanis is the one that's the issue, not the rest of the Ysmir heroes. The rest of them, I think, are fairly well balanced.
You're fine. I agree.
But if I was going somewhere else, I actually love what Marc said is, don't even release this out to become legal this turn. I love that.
I agree.
I think we do need to something. We have to take a little bit more time, and that takes us to the third one, which is the Moonlight Jellyfish uniques, both in the Axiom and the Ysmir. Marc, what are your thoughts? And I guess, what are your thoughts? Why were they first suspended?
Yeah, I know that if you get one of the lanterns in the hero expedition, and the companion expedition is the maul, you're sacrificing this. If you get 2 ones that cost 1 mana, you're just cycling, and everyone's getting 2 boosts, 2 boosts, 2 boosts.
Yep.
So you're getting 1 mana for 4 stats on the field.
Yeah,
that's
it's the eternal
way
cycle.
Too much. Okay. Eternal cycle, but 4 boosts a turn, that's not okay. So I see this, why this was a problem, but I don't see how they would fix this. I think for the last week I've been thinking about this card, and I have no clue how they would fix them. Also, the action one is, I think the action one is also banned, right?
Yes, they're both banned. I would actually release the
I'm,
Axiom one.
I'm not really sure why.
Yeah, the Axiom one I don't see a problem with.
Yeah, I think you can bring it in, especially with Axiom's representation in terms of decks are being so.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
I think you could bring it out as they were initially intended. You don't have as much sacrifice benefits. At least no hero has a sacrifice benefit that you could gain from it.
No, exactly. The big problem with the jellyfish is that if you sacrifice me, you may return a card from your reserve to your hand.
Yeah.
That's the problem. But if you fix that to you may return a spell to your hand, then maybe the card won't be unique anymore, because that effect also is there on the card. That was the only reason I could think of why they wouldn't change that right away to from card to spell.
This is one of those situations similar to the discussion a few days ago where people were talking about, I can't remember who from Equinox or was mentioning that the BTG uniques, we just have to. They're going to be a part of our play. We understand that they're really powerful, but we're not really going to change that. Our idea is just to move forward from here and build more balanced uniques going forward. They're always going to be there. This is kind of the result of that, right? I think in this particular case, I mean, I don't have a good resolution for this, except to say that maybe similar to the way that a lot of the Kraken uniques work, where you remove the one thing that makes them special and taking away its gigantic ability. You take away its ability to do an effect on sacrifice. And I know that makes it just a card at that point, which is not great. And I'm sure a lot of people who own those cards would be very frustrated by that. But that is the problem with these, or it's one of the main issues with these cards. It would solve, I guess, one problem while making a dozen more. But I don't see a good way to fix this card.
Yeah,
I think
I
that's
like the idea.
exactly the reason why it takes them so long to fix this card.
Yeah.
But I do like the idea of releasing it for Axiom. I think
Yeah.
it will open up some new avenues of gameplay with sacrifice that are just not there right now.
I'd agree with that.
But keep it banned in Izmir until something else can be done. Honestly, my notes are this may be the first card that we just keep banned.
I don't disagree.
Yeah, and you know what? That becomes a collector's item. Make it a collector's item. But
Yeah.
I'll also say Lindaway is losing out on so much functionality without the use of something like this.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so that's the biggest loser in this case is Lindaway. But I also think by bringing it in, it breaks the game.
Yeah.
Which is what they're trying to avoid, these eternal cycles, especially when you have two of them in play at the same time being so damn cheap. So cheap.
I mean, one other way to approach this, and we've again talked about these types of things, is setting a limit for the number of times things can cycle. That's it. You put it at 3 times per game, we're done. We're set. We're good. We solved the problem, right? That also manages issues like the Ouroboros too. You know, like I know it's one more number to track, but it would allow a lot more cards and a lot more strategies to feel more balanced and also approachable. Like, I know if I can interrupt that cycle, okay, fine, they got through it once, but if I can break it, that's great. But even if they manage to complete it all 3 times, cool, that's fine. It's only 3 times.
Yeah. So it has tokens on it. It might actually make the whole resource where you're adding an extra, I guess, uptick 3, 2, 1, whatever it may be.
Sure. Yeah.
It could work that way. All right. That takes us to the second part of it. So we really are not getting much benefit from the 3 cards that are currently suspended. I think rightfully so there was those suspensions on those cards. Section 2, though. Now I'm going to ask you if you could present 2. And we're going to take turns. Marc going first. We'll continue the cycle. Marc, Kyle, and then me. 2 things that you would do to actually either suspend a card, errata a card, or change a rule that would make the game more competitive.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
I would
Marc,
change a
I don't know how
Thanos.
many, and if you have more than 2, let us know, and we'll go through them. But we're going to take that round robin. I honestly have 1,
Oh.
and then 1 is an absolute I'm just going to lose my mind how mad I get about a
So
certain
Chili,
character.
you're telling me that you would make 1 change and this would be a perfect game. That's what I'm hearing.
No, not a perfect game. There's one card, but I'm going to get to that in a second.
Yeah,
I
sure.
want to hear Marc and Kyle. Marc, you go first. What's the
Yeah, I would
first?
change
What is
Aphanos.
your greatest? Oh, you would change Aphanos. Okay, you've
Yeah,
taken my
Aphanos
second one.
too.
That's what I was going to say. How would you change Aphanos, and why would you change Aphanos? Why is he so irritating to a Bravos player?
Not only to a Bravos player, I can tell you.
Oh yeah.
I play
okay.
a lot
No,
of
this is
different
fantastic.
factions, and this is horrible to play against. You have always the feeling that if you're next to your tokens are next to each other on the expeditions, and he's like miles away. He's like 2-0, 2-0, 2-0, 2-0. Bye bye. I'm winning again. And that's my frustrating part. You can do everything right and still lose to this sleeps. Off you goes, and then he plays one. A tooth fairy or something, and he's winning. For me, there are 2 solutions, and it's the Bazira or the Atsari fix. If you play a spell, you may tap me to give a boost, and that's really harsh because he is very good with low spells and getting the boost off. Or the Atsari effect. If you play a spell, put a counter on me. If you got less or equal counters, put a boost. That way you can make sure that if you play a lot of ones, you can only do it once. And then you need to play a 2 spell and a 3 spell.
Yeah. This is fantastic. Like, when in discussions with Nick, one of the things that he always talks about is, can you make it that every spell costs you 1 more for the second time you play it?
I mean, Subhash has to do
Maybe
it, right?
the first 2 are free. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but Subhash also is not playable at all. So, yeah, pay 1. So he's going pay 1 to get a boost. Would that be something that you'd consider as well? Would that fix it for you? The whole you play a spell and then it says you may pay 1 to get a boost. I think paying 1 to get a boost is too harsh.
Yeah, if I look at the uniques that had pay 1, they're not really wanted or played. So if that is on your hero, I think you have a bad start. So I would not
Yeah,
let's do that as a pay one.
You don't want to give the Waru effect to Afanis. You want to make
I
him
mean,
balance. Well, maybe we do. Maybe we do, right? I'll say this as a Sigismar player, I'll do a lot better without him.
well, to
So
weigh
will
in on
everyone else.
this, I mean, I've brought it up before. I think one of the ways that you could approach it is to make Afanis only get a boost when he targets his own character, and that character, the character
Ooh.
that he targets, gets the boost.
Yeah.
If you
I like
lock it to that to the expedition, to that character, he can't suddenly play a spell on a character in one expedition and then boost the other to get a 2-0 suddenly.
Yeah.
And then also the other thing that makes Ysmir and specifically Afanis infuriating to play against is all of the removal in his hand. That suddenly makes all the removal that they keep so much less efficient.
Impactful.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to just put that in my own words because I think it's really, really cool way of thinking that I did not think. So you're saying if I have multiple cards in my hand,
Yeah.
if they are what I would call an offensive approach, where I'm doing something to my own characters,
Yes.
then the boost would occur for free.
Yeah.
If I'm
So
doing something that is interacting with the opponent, I do not get the benefit.
correct. So if you play a magical training, or not a magical training, I guess helping hand would be a good choice for this one, or a beauty sleep, for instance. Like playing one of those cards to a character, to one of your characters would get you the boost. But otherwise, yeah, I mean, I think that there'd probably have to be some understanding of how to use that with like Moth to a Flame or something like that, right?
Yeah.
But beyond that, I think, yeah, something that locks the boost to the specific expedition that he's playing it in, or to the characters within that expedition.
Yeah, I actually like the split that goes if it's targeting one of your own personal characters, then you get the boost. If it's targeting like magical training, which is drawing a card, you don't get the boost.
I tend to agree with that too.
And if you're
solution.
using Off You Go, you don't get a boost.
Yeah,
that's really
Because
cool.
I do like
different
the
way
fact
of thinking.
that he can have multiple boosts because that is his identity, right? To play something and you get a boost multiple times a day, and that I think the development team also said that you need to play a character first and then you can play your spells, and that's a certain way of deck building as well. You want to have a lot of spells, but you also need the character to boost on. And I do think that it's a great design philosophy. But the way it's played now, it's like, okay, I play a Tooth Fairy, I sabotage you, and I'm getting it stacked. Or the Mage Dancer, it's getting stacked. Because I play one magical training, and it gets 2 boosts. And after that, I can draw a card as well. Because Mage Dancer also has a draw effect at dusk.
but now, I mean,
what we're hearing
but that's also just not true for Afanis because, Moth to a Flame, that is a spell that you don't need to play a character beforehand. You get the character, you get the Moth, and then it gets the boost right away. So like I disagree that there's even that real interaction of you have to play the character first and then you get the boost. Afanis kind of cheats at that quite a lot.
Yeah, he's the only character that has an unlimited use of his ability.
Yeah.
No other character has the ability of using their ability more than once.
Or what about an approach where you do actually make it a countdown, give him a 5 counter, and then it's throughout the game. You can choose when you play a spell, count down 1, and then you get a boost. And when he's out, he's out. I mean, that actually plays toward the idea of like having a set amount of MP, like an RPG situation. Like that would track for him.
Yeah, I don't know if that's maybe. I just don't know if that would work because like late game is where this guy.
That's true. Yeah.
Destroys. And you're just making him nerf per se. But you know what? Something needs to be done is what we're really saying here.
Agreed.
Is to balance him out. And I'm assuming as we go through this discussion, something's going to be said about Siggy as well. So, Mark, any other thoughts on Afanis before we let Kyle bring his first? Let me take something off your chest, Kyle.
I mean, it's Sigismar. He needs to. Not just Orvis.
We're not even talking cards here. We're talking characters.
I mean, I can get to cards, but like,
no, this is good. This is good.
Afanis. We're just coming away from, but Sigismar is just too versatile, too capable of covering a 2-0 on less mana than other players. He's got so much capability as far as always keeping pressure up, and even when he isn't able to maintain, even if he isn't able to convert it into a 2-0, he's almost always going to have the capability to meet you on one of those sides. He's really hard to pull off a 2-0 against yourself. You have to do a lot more work to try to do that against him. He's essentially coming into every turn with 1 free mana. That's really what it comes down to. And he gets to do it on the turns when he's second player, which is the more advantageous place to be in Altered. Kojo doesn't get to do that.
Kojo gets his benefit in the worst possible
in
time.
the
You'd prefer him
worst
having
time.
Second player.
Yeah.
Second player having that would be a much stronger Kojo framework.
Yeah.
And I'm not a Kojo player, so.
Yeah. But Sig gets to do it every turn regardless, and even when he wins, even when he's in the lead, aside from both of the other Ortis heroes who really seem to get more action from their ability when they are either behind or tied, Sig is just constantly winning, and will, I guess, technically speaking, like if you do almost nothing else, he just will win over time, right? Like it's mostly playing against a timer essentially with him.
Yeah.
I would change.
Wow, it hurts to hear this.
I'm so sorry.
It's true, but it's true. I how can I not complain?
Well, all you have to do is look at the top cards for Ortis. Is that like they're not characters. He leans toward it's just removal, those top cards, because he doesn't need characters. And no other faction can do that. Not even Ysmir. Ysmir has characters in their top 3. Ortis has just the legate, and that's it. But okay, so moving on from that was the way to fix it. Great question. I mean, my instinct, one of the ones that I've liked, one of the approaches that I've heard in chat that I've liked the most is that when your opponent moves forward on an expedition but you don't, you get to the next turn, the next day you get an automatic recruit in that expedition. I like that.
What if it's 1-1 though? What if it's 1-1?
Yeah, it could be, but that also means that here he's balancing that. Again, I'm saying that there's discussion to be had here. Like it's one of my favorites in terms of like not just lore wise, but like mechanically. I think that's fun because he's calling up recruits in places where they need help essentially.
I like that idea. I really do. But in many cases, if he plays out the 1-1, he may still be strong enough.
It's very possible.
But there may be days, but on the days that he wins 2-0, he doesn't get the benefit.
Doesn't get anything. Yeah.
Okay. Or 2-1 or 2-2, right? I would assume if it's only if they progress and you don't, right? So,
another one that another approach that I've put forward before that I think would be interesting is that if he has a recruit in play, recruit. If he has a recruit in play at the end of the day, he gets to keep one going over to the next day, but only in the expedition where it's in. It doesn't get to move, doesn't that kind of thing. So that could be an interesting way to make it go back and forth, and it would remove where he's most damaging having that one extra on that first turn
in day one.
On day one.
Let me ask this: would this help fix it? Is if you do not get the benefit on day one, similar to Fen and Crowbar doesn't get its benefit on day one. Would you say would that balance us out? Because I think Aphanis is very strong at the early stage of the game, not so strong. That additional recruit doesn't give you much. Well, it's still a body, but it doesn't give you as much in later stages of the game.
It doesn't give you as much, but it's still, if you don't have something that covers one of the stats that it's in. The other thing is that a recruit is a 1/1/1. So if you have any zeros on your side, they're going to advance regardless. That's just the truth. And so even late game, having that 1/1/1 can be the thing that gets you the win, because you have to put something on that side so you don't have a gap. I think
interesting.
Yeah, it's just, even if you have it on that, even if he skips the first day, I still don't think that's enough.
Yeah.
Because it's easy for him to get a 2-0, but even on day 2, he's going to technically have he'll definitely almost certainly pull a 2-0, on day 2 or 3. because of that.
Mike, any other thoughts to either continue this barrage against poor Sigismar, or in defense of Sigismar?
Poor Sigismar.
Well,
Yeah,
I'm a little bit pro Sigismar,
you know what?
of course.
He's definitely not a poor Sigismar, both in the lore and in how he's winning the games.
That's right.
No, I think Sigismar, I don't have a problem with the hero per se. I think that the data is showing that he is very strong against Avanas, because Avanas is such a great hero against everything in the field. And if I just said earlier, if you have a field with a lot of Avanas in the top regions, if you're like 400 and you're playing against another 400 people, it's more likely that you play against an Avanas player. So if you bring Sigismar and you manage to get to that level, and you're seeing all the Avanas players, you're probably gonna win by that point, because you are in the advantage against the Avanas player. But I do not think that Sigismar is that good against all the other heroes. I think that Teja can win from Sigismar. Also, Lies of Withdrawal is a mistake.
Yes, agreed.
You can have Kojo, who can win some matchups because they get Buddha, and sure, you can see he gets it in the worst possible way, but it's still a 2-2-2.
It is.
That's no joke to get over it. I think Bazira, I play Bazira a lot. I think I'm never in the disadvantage against the Sigismar, because I get some more mana to spend and those stuff. We got Aklut to make sure that they lose some reserves. Again, Lies Withdrawal is a mistake.
Again, yeah.
Also against Aklut. So I do not think that Sigismar is a real that menace, but it is, if you're breaking even once at the start for the first 3 turns with your hand, then you have a real problem, because you're never going to get back against a Sigismar player. He only needs to win once 8-2-0, and then it's like 1-1, 1-1, 1-1, 1-1. The symmetry is broken, and you don't get a win in because he has that token. And that's the problem with Sigismar at the moment. If your hand is breaking, you're never going to win. But if you're like, I think Rin and Arjun a little bit as well. If you got your Bastion up and you can get all those anchors in, I feel myself playing Sigismar, I'm really weak against those types of play.
Yeah. I think.
Sorry, go on.
Go ahead. I was going to say the impact for Sigismar, the token generation is what we're really talking about. Is all the uniques, the majority of uniques within Ordis are also very tailored to his benefit of having a token.
Completely agreed.
So I think that's the other interaction where people feel that there's some issue here. I actually don't mind personally if they say you've got a countdown for the first 2 days, you don't get nothing, and then your benefit comes in. I also love the idea that you brought forward, Kyle, that said, what if he only gets a recruit if he doesn't move forward? And of course, he only gets a maximum of 1. He has to choose. If he goes 0 and 2, he chooses which one he goes into. I think that's a really unique way of making this game be different for him to play, where he's trying to claw back. But that would make all the Ordis heroes become defensive and end game becoming stronger.
But
maybe
is that's
what you do?
Yeah, is that bad as a person, as an archetype for the entire faction though too? Because right now, I mean, Sigismar kind of plays like you would want Bravos to play. Like, get their stats down, get the card, let's go. And Ordis should, I think, feel large and imposing, but I also feel like it feels like it should take time to do to actually do what it wants to do.
I thought I was going to get more offended when you guys I knew that there was going to be something against Sigismar, but I actually think this is a very balanced approach, very well thought out, gentlemen.
Oh, thank you.
In terms of what could work. But I personally think that Equinox would be reluctant to crucify another
for sure.
character because of the backlash that happened with Waru. I used the word crucify. I really did. Now, slight amendments maybe, but truly nerfing them to become unplayable, I just don't think they can do that, given what was lost from Waru was the hero, the most played character, to then becoming the least played character.
Yes.
You're not meant to see something like that. I think what you're proposing, both of you have proposed with Aphanis as well as Sigismar, I think brings them to the pack, and I don't think it impacts them in terms of them not being playable. Okay. Well, let's go through quickly. Now I'm going to say where I am. My first qualm is with Mesektet. Given it's a 4-cost card, my thoughts are Mesektet in the rare is that you actually, both in the common and the rare, you should only get the benefit if you are behind.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
You should not get it if you are tied. And the reason this is an issue for me is I've gone to a lot of tiebreakers or to Arena. And in Arena, it's absolutely silly to have this. Because you're already going to be behind whenever you're playing anyone that has Mesektet without a chance of being able to counter this. Marc and I played a game just earlier today, and like he knew I pulled a Mesektet out, and I was actually playing Sigismar with my Mesektet, and he purposely played on one side, making sure I wouldn't get the double benefit. You're stuffed the moment that you go to Arena, or do something that says in Arena that effect is not valid.
Yeah.
Just like Grand Endeavor is not valid during the Arena. And by that time, if you're using Gulrang, your Gulrang effects are in place. You don't have to worry about not being able to progress.
Yeah,
so that's my thoughts. And I think out of all the cards that have come out of set 3, I think it's the one that's impacted a hero the most. And I don't want to truly reduce what Gulrang is trying to do. But at the same time, it's an unfair advantage that other characters don't have. I think the cost is still good, valid at 4/4. I really do. But only if you're behind.
I agree with that.
Any thoughts on that?
I tend to agree.
I don't really mind this card. To be
okay.
The only thing
for you, it's not a bother.
Is like, no, it's not a bother because in the Arena, sure, then it's stronger 4/4 to start with. Okay. But the same counts for like an anchored Anansi or an anchored Aloe Vera. You start with something in the Arena, so you're a little bit advantaged. Yeah, I don't think this card is a lot of a problem. Specifically, if your Goring is a really slow hero. So if you're the thing I'm doing is like playing on one side just to make sure that only one token comes in and just banging on the advantage. So if I'm winning, like I only need to win one time 2-1 or 2-0, and then it's like 1-1, 1-1, 1-1, 1-1, just to see where are you playing, and then I'm playing on the other side. Yeah. So you've spent some resources there already, and I'm going over you because I have with Haven, with Prophets, you have the Seringar, 3 mana, 3 forest. So I don't really mind this card.
That's not a bad.
For you, it's not a problem. That's a good valid point.
Yeah, I like your reasoning on that too. It's silly. My real qualm with it, as far as the tie thing goes, is that it feels wrong to me lore-wise, quote unquote, for Golrang, who really does seem to be built to say like I only advance when I'm behind, and having it be like also while I'm tied, feels incorrect to the hero to me. But yeah. That's well argued though. I'm with you on it. I understand what you're saying there.
But and I'll say okay. And okay, as we go through, last bit of it, Marc, is there any other card that you want to be banned or restricted?
Well, not banned or restricted. I want to change back to something more playable, and that's Waru.
Okay, what
I want Waru back to. The thing with Waru is you said the Arena. If you are in the Arena with Waru, you draw all your bureaucrats. Everything is that you instantly lose, and that's why this hero isn't playable at all. So it's really really hard. And I hear people say, play less bureaucrats and stuff. Yeah, but if you play less bureaucrats, the hero is not interesting because the hero is interesting because of the bureaucrats.
Yeah,
you need to get sleep.
Okay, so what would you fix?
I'm not sure. Maybe if you're like 8 mana or more, you can choose if they are asleep or not, because that's also a little bit of what the Goldring has. That. Just to make sure that if you're getting into the arena in late parts of the game, you actually have stats to win because you're playing from behind. and if your opponent is removing your wake bureaucrats or your sleep ones just to irritate you in the flow, then you're screwed and you never win.
That's a very
It's
good
really
recommendation.
Yeah, that's very.
I like that recommendation.
Yeah.
I think that's nice. What about yourself, Kyle?
But I do see why they nerfed him, because I played him a lot. A little bit also talked with the media.
You're like, I get it.
You mean the good old days? The good old days? Yeah.
Yeah, also
absolutely.
it needed a nerf, but
Yeah.
So
not playable now.
very briefly, I have I just two things that I want to touch on very briefly. One, Arjun needs help. You have to give him something. Make it so that it's not stopped by hand cost or something, or allow them to anchor a card that's already in play. I don't care what it is. They need help. It's very frustrating to have played this character since the start, and every time I'm like, well, could be playing Taya and doing much better than I am. But the actual thing that I would say is the rule change that I'd make, and I know it's not super popular. I would say that based on hand cost, cards that are a certain hand cost above the removal card that you're playing have automatic tough. That's just I know it's not very popular, but if you are playing a 2-cost removal against something that costs 5 or 6 mana, it should have automatic tough. That I don't understand why it doesn't. I don't know how that we've got to a point where license withdrawal for 1, but cards that are 2 and 3 mana are taking out 6s and 7s, and it's just, oh, sorry, that must feel real great for you as a player, and it just it isn't healthy for the game itself either. Because if you want Achadi to get out there, if you want Golrang to take some big swings, you want those larger characters to Hydra. When's the last time you saw a Hydrocana?
Yeah, it's true.
Because now,
Championship.
license withdrawal can take out a Hydrocana for 3 mana. It took Taya 7 mana to get it out there, but Sig can just throw. Although actually, your Hydrocana has been.
It's going to cost you 4. It's going to.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, I'm backing off. I'm backing off.
No. I think that's true. I think there needs to be something that will encourage people to want to play more expensive cards.
As someone who plays Axiom, having those Brassbug Hives being the only card that makes Sierra for the first 2 sets be able to actually play anything, it's astounding that they're 6s with no tough. So it will take my entire turn to get 6 points on 6 stats on the table, and then it'll be gone the next turn because they played a mana eruption or some other way of just removing it immediately.
Yeah, I think it's hard. It's hard playing anything where you invest a lot of resources and you can get it taken away so quickly. Marc, was there any other things from yourself that you would like to see banned or amended?
No, maybe license withdrawal, but
so this is where I really would go. So, what would you do to license withdrawal then, Marc? Where would you like this to go?
The thing is,
I actually think
I talked with action players. The 3 mana destroy every permanent is so rough for hives.
Incredible.
It is. But I'm not sure how to fix it, because it's just a new card and I haven't really thought about it. But every time I play against it, also the Ishmir rare, I'm thinking like, wow, this card is a mistake.
Yeah,
I don't mind. Too cheap for what it does.
Yeah, I don't mind saying that you can actually get something out of, and this will be for all removal, that you can actually go up to 2 more, or maybe up to 1 more.
Yeah.
But if it costs more, you pay 1 more, right? So it scales with the difference, as you said, Carl. The difference between the cost of what you're removing and not, it scales up to a certain level, but it has to be capped. Like you don't have to pay 10 to get rid of something, right?
I mean, if you're out there throwing a 10 mana object on the table, it feels real bad if they use a metamorphosis for 2 mana and immediately destroy it.
That is true. That is true. So I don't know if we're ever going to move away from this being a game for low mana curve.
Yeah.
But you have to give some level of benefit for those that are more. Now,
or just don't have those cards, the high end cards.
Don't make them high end. That's right.
Why have them? Sorry, go on.
So the last bit is talking a little bit about the watch list. What are things that they need to look at? And I wrote down a couple of things very quickly that I want to share, and then maybe you guys can add some of your points. I honestly feel double and triple draw uniques need to be put on that watch list. given what we all know that drawing cards is what helps you gain a benefit, especially at the back end. Mark, I know you've got an amazing hatter. This would actually target your hatter as well. All right. So this is really digging it at you a little bit there. But also some of the what we see online is there are some cards that draw you 3 cards, and some of them very much unconditional. The moment the card leaves the field, or make lots of conditions, make it more difficult to get. The other one is double ramp uniques, is another one that I'd look at. Sorry, this is the one that's affecting you, Mark. Actually, you've got the double ramp uniques.
Oh,
I've
yeah.
got the double triple draws.
Those 2 and 3 cards as well in my model deck, so it's okay.
And then
You're like, actually,
you know how to break the game. So, and then the third one is review the uniques that trigger when they leave the expedition zone. I honestly feel that a lot of the uniques should be at dusk or something like that, so that you can interact with them in a way that stops them from getting the benefit. I don't like the automatic the moment I leave. Those are the other things that I'd look at from a perspective of how do you balance it in a way that there is interaction available to stop something from occurring, is where I've taken it. Yeah. Mark, and then Kyle, and then we'll close up after that.
I think I can fill in a whole episode only about unique. So it's to touch this so slightly is not going to do it justice, I think.
So is there anything that you'd add to the watch list?
License withdrawal.
Yeah,
that's the only card I really
truthfully.
Okay. License withdrawal.
Okay. I would second that, and also I would ask them to take a look at, just the heavy amount of really, really cheap removal that that so many, that specifically 2 factions have. But like those, it really is surprising how cheap removal can be, or specifically removal that isn't gated by really hemmed in constraints. Tiny Jail is a great example that does actually say, like, all right, this is really cheap, but your options are really low on being able to use this. That we need to see more of that if you're going to have it. If it's going to be below like 4, it needs to have some real strong constraints.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's really useful to see. I don't know if we're going to get there, but maybe some of our wishes will come true. We're going to get an early Christmas. We wanted to record this episode before the release of the mid-season patch. We're doing it a little bit earlier, but that's because Equinox likes to surprise us, like they did last at the end of season, which happened much earlier than we initially anticipated. But the part that I was surprised is that the mid-season patch is going to occur in the middle of some of the, the competitive season. You're going to have a different set of rules for those tournaments that are happening as World qualifiers before the patch, and then you're going to have some afterwards. So they're playing by different rules. Hopefully for the next round, we have them more set with the same rules regardless. In closing... Go ahead, Kyle.
Well, I was just going to say, if they take any of the suggestions we see today, for instance, that SIG deck that won the Dutch championship very recently would be in pieces. You would have to start from the ground up. So
they had a couple of draw 2s, right? That
all of them. All 3 uniques were double draws. Yeah. Sorry.
I wish I had that kind of money.
I came across much louder there.
It is true. It is true. And then on the other hand, you had a blend between drawing multiple and spammers.
Yeah.
The person that came second with that's Claudius, and is it Claudius came second?
Yes,
all right,
that's correct. Yeah.
Mark, any parting words on how to make Equinox listen to your thoughts and make them canon, I would call it, since we're talking about a lore game?
Well, I do think that they're backed up with more data than we have, right? So we are just seeing a small thing. So I think they're doing the best they can with the small team. But it's not always the data. It's sometimes also about the feeling you get while playing the game. And I think if you take that one into account as well, please fix Aphanas.
Fix Aphanas.
Yes.
Fix Sigma. Get rid of license withdrawal.
Yeah.
Is what I'm hearing.
As my final plea, what I would say is for the first two sets, you said it's just people taking time and figuring out what's going to work in the meta to kind of balance these heroes out. If you look at the data from the last 2 months coming through Whispers and on to now, we tried, and it hasn't solved the problem hasn't solved itself. Something needs to go.
Yeah. Now, so in closing, we know that the next set is going to have 6 new heroes. They're adding it to the list. Okay. My hope as I close is that we also, how would I call it, retire some heroes. So that way, that brings the Eternal format in the future as something we could play. But I love the idea of there just being 18 heroes. Not too much choice. These strong heroes will have their light, their time in the sun, and then they'll fade away into obscurity. And then we bring them back on an Eternal format. I don't like the idea of changing too many heroes too often. But I do believe, especially with those that started from the first set, some of them may need that balancing. Marc, as we close up, how can people get in contact with you and appreciate the work you're doing, especially with the decks that you're bringing out in your videos?
I think I'm everywhere, right? I'm like on the Discord. I'm on Azure. My decks are there. I'm trying to show some deck guides and such, etc. on my YouTube channel. And
What's
also
your favorite?
on
What's
the TCG.blog.
Yeah, what's the next deck you're bringing out over the next week or so? Is there something we can look forward to?
I'm tinkering with again Fiore in Bazira, but now with unique versions. So I'm getting that ready. Chili, you didn't see that because I didn't draw any landmarks in our games. But one of the next videos is or Nevenka or
nice
Fan. I got those games already there. Yeah. So
I'm looking forward to seeing
an Aurac Fan.
I want you to help me. I want to see one of your Aurac builds because I personally thought that would be a better character, and I'm struggling to see anyone break it through yet.
Yeah.
Kyle, what's going on with you and the Altered TCG blog? Something we're looking forward to seeing.
Yeah. I am trying desperately to continue to post stuff, keep up with what's going on as far as news goes, and recaps and such like that. Obviously with Marc's support and like the rest of the blog team, like we're doing what we can to try to get news out there and keep people updated on what's going on. That's where I'm at. You'll see me in the Discord generally. If you have news tips, I would love to hear them. But yes, we're actually, I'll use this as a way of saying, as far as the blog team ourselves go, like we're always looking for more interaction. If people have ideas or thoughts about what we're doing, we would love to hear it. So, and I'm working on, I want to rebuild my Kojo deck with the new Whispers cards. But I'm really desperately trying to make an interesting non-festival Argent deck. I'm gonna get it to work. It's gonna happen. Maybe
animal builds, maybe bringing into it something different.
Yeah, give me a Yeti and a Corgi, and we're good, right? That's.
Well, awesome. Well, thank you both so much. Thank you, AlteredTCG.blog, in terms of what you guys are doing. From my end, from what we're doing, we will be releasing the rest of our first impressions, as I would call them, late impressions, on Whispers from the Maze as they are coming out over the next week or two. We'll complete that work. And you'll be able to hear from Nick next time we are together. So I appreciate the work he's done in producing this episode and getting us all together. We will do this again. We will do this every 2 months as we prepare for the next mid-season patch and the end-of-season patch. We'll laugh at the things that we got wrong. We'll be shattered by the things that are affecting our favorite decks, and we'll see if any of us have any joy with changes in the meta that will make some decks more viable than others. That is the hope, that there's more balance. Always more balance is always good. Thank you very much, and until next time, hasta luego.